Croeso pawb to the game's under £16 PSN sale. This sale ends on the 28th of October, so you've got until then to check out these deals. Let's look at the games. The first game is a VR game, Blasters of the Universe. It was released in 2018, so it's 2 years old, and it's on a 60% discount right now for a price of £4.79, which is really good. This game's a first-person bullet hell, so you basically stand around, get shot by a load of things, and you have to dodge, duck, block, and shoot back. There was a load of these games that came out at one point, but this game does stand out for its unique art style and quirky humour. It offers a campaign mode, challenge mode, online leaderboards, and customizable weapons, so they added a lot of features that will keep you enjoying this game for a long time. There's not really too much to say about this game. If you have a VR headset and you love first-person bullet hells, this is one of the best, so you might want to pick it up at that price. If you have a PSVR and you don't have a bullet hell game, then this may be for you. It's one of the more decent ones available, and it's at a decent price right now. Take a look, you might just love it. The next game is another VR game, Blind. It was released in 2018, so it's 2 years old. It's on a 70% discount right now for a price of £5.99, which is really good. This game is a story-driven psychological thriller, where you play a blind girl who wakes up with no memories. In this game, because you're blind, obviously you don't see anything, which is kinda scary in VR. But you can use echolocation to explore the environment. So by using a cane that you have to knock on things, you can visually see the sound bouncing back off objects, which temporarily reveals the environment to you. You spend the game exploring a scary mansion with this gameplay feature, and I have to say, I'm not a fan of scary games in VR, and this seems particularly creepy to me, being blind for most of the game and only being able to see things momentarily under certain circumstances. It just sounds like all sorts of scary to me. But if you like the sound of that, this will probably be a really enjoyable game for you. Either way, if this is appealing to you, you know who you are, so pick it up if it does. I kinda think this should have been in the Halloween sale because, scary theme and all that. But in any case, if you're not interested, move on to one of the other games in the sale. Next up is a bundle of old school games, the Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle. It was released in 2018, which makes it 2 years old, but it's a compilation of games that are way older than that, so keep that in mind. It's on a 50% discount right now for a price of £7.99. Now I love old school beat 'em ups, and I gotta say this bundle includes some of the best ever made. There are 7 beat 'em ups included in this collection, which are Final Fight, Captain Commando, The King of Dragons, Knights of the Round, Warrior of Fate, Armored Warriors, and Battle Circuit. Now Battle Circuit is considered the best beat 'em up of its day, and some of the others in this list are nearly as good, so you really have a lot of high quality beat 'em ups in this bundle. Final Fight I would have to say is the one I'm least interested in, because I was never a fan of Final Fight, and let's be honest, Streets of Rage did it better. Come at me, SNES fanboys, come at me. Captain Commando I've played, and has a cool variation of characters. There's a ninja, there's a baby and a mech, there's some cool characters in it, and the gameplay's a lot of fun. The King of Dragons is pretty much a D&D rip-off. You've got Archer, Warrior, Wizard, that sort of characters, with additional abilities thrown in for fun. Knights of the Round is a cool one. It's a King Arthur themed beat 'em up, which is awesome. If I'd had this as a kid, I would have loved it, because I loved King Arthur and sword-based movies when I was a kid. I would have gone nuts for this, I would never have stopped playing it. Warriors of Fate is a beat 'em up based around Japanese history, so you'll see characters such as Cao Cao, which you'll be familiar with if you've ever played Dynasty Warriors or any game like that, and you get to ride horses and use Japanese weaponry, like spears and swords and all sorts of cool stuff. Armored Warriors is a beat 'em up where you pilot mechs, which is awesome, I don't need to explain that anymore. And then Battle Circuit is the crown jewel of this collection. It's got a ton of RPG elements in it. As you play through it, you can upgrade and add new abilities to your characters, and the characters are varied wildly, so each one is very unique to play. It's essential on its own for anyone that loves beat 'em ups. You definitely should pick this up. And if you've never played beat 'em ups before, this is the best way to get into them because there's so many of them and they're all amazing. It's a really good option for anyone that's even remotely interested in a beat 'em up. We're going into the future with the next game, Deus Ex Mankind Divided. It was released in 2016, so it's 4 years old, and it's on an 85% discount right now for a price of £3.74, which is really cheap. This game is a sequel to the first game, Human Revolution, and a reboot of an older series that's beloved and legendary. It's a first-person shooter with RPG elements. You play as Cyborg, who's an undercover cop, and you get to customize your Cyborg elements to give you different abilities and bonuses. This game's really cool and high production, with a good story. And I have to say, this game is such a high quality game at such a low price, that this game is my star buy for this sale. It really is that good for this price. It also has in-game decisions which affect the ending of the game, so it has multiple endings, and therefore a lot of replayability if you want to play through to see the different endings. There's not much I have to say about the game really. It's a really good game, it's really high quality, it's at a stupidly low price. So if you don't mind skipping the first game and playing the sequel, this game is amazing and you'll have a load of fun. Pretty much the only reason I wouldn't pick up this game is if you wanted to play the first one first, and you didn't want to risk not picking up the first one and then wasting money on a game you didn't play. So consider picking this one up guys, like I said it's my star buy. Don't miss out on this deal. Dirt Rally plus the PlayStation VR bundle is our next game. It was released in 2017 so it's 3 years old. It's on an 80% discount now for a price of £4.99. This game is a really good rally game, and it includes 3 DLC packs which add a load more cars for you to drive. But what really sells this game to me is that it includes the VR add-on, which makes the entire game playable in VR. I own this game in VR, and I have to say, I'm not a big fan of driving games or rally games, but I love this game. Playing this in VR, where your co-driver is giving you tips, tight hairpin left, and all that sort of thing, and you're having to drive to the commands in VR is unbelievable. Be warned though, because the first time I played it, I was driving down a cliff edge in Greece, and rather than listening to my co-driver, I was looking out the window at the beautiful view of the cliffs and the mountains, but I wasn't paying attention. And I turned to look in front of me, and there was a U-turn, like 3 feet in front of me. So I went straight off the cliff, and then the next thing I know, my car is rolling down the side of the cliff sideways, and all I can see is the car doing backflips. So I'd say that's a pretty convincing win for the VR. There is a sequel to this game, but it hasn't been on sale anywhere near as cheap as this, and considering this includes the DLC cars and the VR add-on, if you have VR and you're in any way interested in driving games at all, you need to pick this up. It's amazing. If you don't have VR but you like rally games, at this price it's really worth picking up anyway. And if you're not a fan of rally games or driving games, then there's plenty more games for you in the sale. The next game I'm really interested in. It's a VR game again, FREEDIVER Triton. It was released in 2020, so it's less than a year old, and it's on a 40% discount for £7.19, which is really decent, especially considering how new the game is. This game is a first-person puzzle survival game, where you're a world-renowned freediver who's trapped on a sinking ship called the Triton. And in this game, you're basically going to have to swim through the sinking ship, solving puzzles, and ultimately trying to escape the ship to safety before you go down with it. Now, the reason this game is so interesting to me is because, I don't know about you guys, but when I was a kid in the bath, I used to have really cool fantasies where I was trapped in a sinking ship or something, and I'd have to hold my breath and swim through loads of corridors and doors and stuff to safety. Maybe I watched too many action movies as a kid where people had to swim through underwater sections without drowning, so this game just seems awesome to me. And the fact that it supports move controllers, which means you actually use your arms in a swimming motion to navigate the game, I can really see this game being a lot of fun. To me, this is the sort of thing VR was created for you to experience situations in ways you can't experience without VR. And the fact that it's a puzzler as well. I love puzzle games. I love VR games. The theme of this really appeals to me. I highly recommend it. It looks amazing, it really does. And if you don't have VR so you can't play this, then I kind of feel sorry for you because really the PSVR is amazing. And I know the PC fanboys will be like, oh, but the other ones are better. Yeah, they are technically better. I ain't arguing about that, but that doesn't change the fact that VR is amazing. And PSVR is good enough VR for the games to be amazing. If you've never used VR, I highly recommend you finding someone that has it so you can at least try it out. And if you already have it, then take a look at this game, you might just love it. For everyone else, go out and find someone with a VR headset and see what it's about. You'll thank me later, I promise. Next up is a unique game, Gorogoa. It was released in 2018, so it's 2 years old, and it's on a 60% discount right now for a price of £4.79. This game is hard to describe. It's a 2D puzzler where you manipulate the environment in order to find new avenues of progress, in unique and different ways. It's really hard to explain exactly how the game works without you just seeing footage of it, but basically the 2D view that you see can be manipulated in different ways in order to find new ways of progressing through the scenery. So for example, you may be able to turn an object or drop an object into another object that affects it in a way that allows you to then progress via the manipulation of the environment. This is an extremely unique game. The graphic style is unique, the gameplay is unique, It requires a unique way of thinking about the puzzles in order to understand what you're doing or where you're going. But it's very intriguing, especially for someone that likes puzzle games. All I can basically say is in order to get a better idea you need to see some footage of it, like the trailer or gameplay. But at the end of the day, if you like puzzle games, you'll love this game. It's awesome, it's unique, the gameplay is vastly different than you'll see in other puzzle games. All in all, I would say if you're a puzzler, pick this up. If you're not a puzzler, then this may not be the game for you to start looking at puzzle games from. Pick up something else instead, and if you end up loving puzzle games, then come back to this at a later date. Next up is another VR game, I'm Hungry. It was released in 2019, so it's only a year old, and it's on a 60% sale right now for a price of £5.59, which isn't bad. This game is one of those games where you sit behind a food counter and you prepare food for the customers that show up. Now I like these games, they're a lot of fun, but this one is pretty simplistic, so keep that in mind when considering it. This game comes with a career mode and an infinite mode where you can just play forever. You get to make the usual sorts of things, burgers, chips, drinks, ice cream, that sort of stuff. But it's not as complicated as some of the other games. Some of the other games you might have to make different versions of ice cream with different toppings and sprinkles and that sort of thing. A lot of the stuff in this game are just one thing. The ice cream is an ice cream. There's no variation, there's no complexity to it. Now that's a negative and a positive. Some people like them a bit simpler, some people don't. Me personally, I prefer them a bit more complicated. And that's why I play Diner Duo instead, which I love. I love Diner Duo. And the fact that they added a whole new game mode to that for free speaks volumes to the developers. But anyway, back to this game. All in all, I would say if you have VR and you're looking for one of these games, this is a solid option. If you prefer them simpler, if you prefer them more complicated, look elsewhere because there's a couple of other options like Diner Duo, which are much better if you like them a bit more complicated. Oh look, another VR game. This time it's Knockout League. It was released in 2018, so it was 2 years old. It's on a 50% discount right now for a price of £7.99. So this game is an arcade VR boxing game, and that's pretty much it. It doesn't include any extra modes or extra features, it's just a VR arcade boxer. Now the only reason I've included this is because it's not usually on sale, and this is pretty much the first time I've seen it on sale, and it's an alright price right now. On a side note, the DLC for it is on sale for 99p, and that adds in a training bag, which allows you to practice on the training bag and it gives you combos, etc. So it's more like a fitness workout routine than anything else. Me personally, I own the Rocky VR boxing game Creed, and that's infinitely better than this. Not only is it cheaper, it has a boxing career mode based on the first Creed movie, where you play as Apollo Creed and fight the story boxing matches and some other ones that weren't in the film. But it also includes a full gym where you get to spar with Rocky Balboa as your trainer and do a ton of different boxing training techniques. And it's got all the characters from the Rocky movies in it and the official soundtrack. So if you're looking for the best boxing game, this isn't it. But if you're looking for an arcade boxing game and you don't like Rocky because you're crazy, then this is a decent option. But if you want the best VR boxing game, in my opinion, you should wait until Creed's on sale again. Good news, everybody. This game's not a VR game. MotoGP 17. It was released in 2017, so it's 3 years old, and it's on a 75% discount right now for a price of £6.24. This game includes all the official bike teams and tracks, including an additional managerial career mode where you get to manage a team rather than drive as a racer, which is pretty cool. All in all, I would say this is a pretty decent option. There's no DLC included, which there has been in other bike games that were on sale recently, and as such, maybe this doesn't offer as much as those games did. But this is an officially endorsed game, which means you get the benefit of the official content of the official sport. So if you're looking for an officially licensed MotoGP game, this is an older one, but it may be up your alley. And if you're not interested in bike games or driving games, then move on to something else in the sale. This one's really up to you. I don't know much about motorcycle racing games. Next up is another racer, Need for Speed. This game was released in 2015, so it's 5 years old, but it was originally a PS3 game, so it's older than that. It's on an 80% sale right now for a price of £3.19. Now, Need for Speed is an arcade racer. It has a story mode, it has an open world city, which you can drive around and then start or stop races from the map. You can also tune and customize all the cars in the game, which have a variety of, tuner cars, muscle cars, exotic cars. There's a lot of different variety, and they're all real models of cars, if a bit old at this point. Basically, if you like old school Need for Speed games, this is a really cheap one at this price, and it's pretty decent. I've played it and completed it, and I had a really good time. It kinda reminded me of the glory days of Need for Speed back in the Most Wanted days. So if you're looking for a cheap arcade racer, this is a lot of fun for a very low price. But if you want something more modern or you're not that interested in racing games, then move on to something else. I really love this next game, Party Hard. Came out in 2016, so it's 4 years old, and it's on a 75% discount right now for £2.49, which is dirt cheap. This game is a unique game. You live in a neighbourhood where your neighbours are constantly waking you up with their annoying parties all the time. So you decide to take revenge by picking up your knife and going and murdering them all. Now the game plays out as each level is a different party, in a different location and a different theme. Some are in a frat house, some are on top of a skyscraper, some are in a beach or a park. And basically the objective is to murder everyone without getting caught or arrested by the police. So it's kinda like a stealth puzzle game with 2D pixel art graphics. This game's got an awesome sense of humour. A lot of the kills are humorous. You can do things like throw people into wood chippers, or electrify a puddle, or throw them into a sawmill, or set off a lawnmower that runs through the crowd and mows down a load of them. There's really a lot of options and they're all pretty funny and entertaining. And to be honest, I kinda like this game because I like puzzle games, and this gameplay is not only fun, but it's kinda like a puzzle where you're trying to work out how to murder people without getting caught, and how to clear people out, or how to move them from one area to the next, or hide their bodies so they don't get discovered. Because the last thing you want is someone finding a body and ringing the police on you. All in all, this game is awesome, and for this low price, I definitely recommend it to anyone that likes puzzle games, or likes the idea of having to murder an entire party full of people without getting caught. Definitely take a look at it, it's amazing. You'll have a lot of fun with it. I'm sorry if you guys are getting fed up of VR games, but here's another one. Peerhead Arcade. It was released in 2018, so it's 2 years old, and it's on a 65% discount right now for a price of £4.19, which is pretty cheap. This VR game puts you on a virtual pier, filled with classic arcade games. No, not the computer games, but the arcade games as in the building you go to, called the arcade, with old school games like the basketball shooting, bowling, shooting ranges, the sorts of games where you play them and you win tickets. And just like in real life, you play the games in this, you win tickets, and it's got a virtual ticket redemption booth where you can buy prizes or play claw machines, which I gotta say all seems like a lot of fun to me, purely because it's in VR. If this game wasn't in VR, then it'd be a waste of time. But the fact that it's in VR means it's a fun little thing to do, and to waste some time on. And if you've got kids or a family that want to play some VR stuff, and you'd want something that's not so intense for them, this is a good option for that. Everyone understands these games, everyone's played these games before, it means that everyone can have a go without you having to go through how to play it with them. It definitely looks like a good introduction to VR for a lot of people, and it includes a lot of games for a pretty cheap price. If you only like 2 or 3 of the games in this, you've still done well, because it's only £4.19. I'm considering picking it for my VR collection, so maybe you should too. Rage Injustice is our next game. It was released in 2018, so it's 2 years old, and it's on a 70% discount for a price of £2.99, which is really cheap. This game is a modern take on an old school beat 'em up, where the city is in chaos and you play as the cops trying to deal with the situation. This game has a unique system though, where you can choose to arrest people, to complete level challenges, or instead just beat them up for vigilante justice. It's up to you. This game seems pretty decent, and if you like old school brawlers, then it might be interesting to you. The only problem is it's in the same sale as the Capcom collection, which has a selection of some of the best beat-em-ups ever made. So realistically, you should consider that over this. But if you have that and you want another one that's more modern, this may be a good option for you, so have a look at it. But for anyone that's not interested in brawlers, don't get this, or instead look at the Capcom collection. Next up we have The Deadly Tower of Monsters. It was released in 2016, so it's 4 years old, and it's on a 70% discount right now for a price of £3.59. This game is a 3D Metroidvania platformer, and it's awesome. I've completed it and I love it. The whole game is themed as if it's on a film set, so there's a director that commentates, the characters you play are the film stars, and the bad guys are the actors and props. It's set in the old school sci-fi era, like Flash Gordon, or Lost in Space, which is a really cool aesthetic. All in all, this is a really good Metroidvania game. It's got an awesome theme, awesome ideas, and really good gameplay. I would highly recommend it for anyone that likes Metroidvania platformers. And if you're not sure about it, at this price you might want to take a punt. You might just find a genre that you love. And finally we have Uncharted the Nathan Drake Collection. It was released in 2015, so it's 5 years old, but these games are a remaster of PlayStation 3 games, so they're really much older than that. It's on a 50% discount right now for a price of £7.99, which is really good for 3 games, especially of this caliber. Now I know what you're thinking. Everybody that loves these games has played these games. Why are you including it on this list? One of the main reasons I'm including it in this list is that Uncharted 4 has been given away free in the PS Plus collection that's coming out around about the PS5 launch. So if you're getting a PS5 and you haven't played these games, you're going to get the fourth one for free. So if you want to play the first three, you can pick these up on sale now, and then when you get your PS5, you'll have 1, 2, 3 and 4 to play. Uncharted is hands down one of the best gaming series on PlayStation. It's amazing. I played them all on PlayStation 3, I replayed them all on PlayStation 4, and I've never had a bad experience with them. They're amazing. They're basically Tomb Raider crossed with Indiana Jones, so third-person action-adventure puzzle solving. If you love Indiana Jones, you'll love the story in these games. If you like Tomb Raider games, this was better than Tomb Raider was before it got rebooted recently. And the rebooted Tomb Raider games ripped off a lot of stuff from these games because they're so much better. These games really are legendary in modern PlayStation era, and if you don't have them, you should play them, especially if you like story-driven action-adventure games. This is a really good opportunity to pick them up pretty cheap and play them either before you go to PS5 or when you go to PS5 along with the fourth game. They're really worth considering. So that's all the games I have for you for the Games Under £16 PSN sale. What did you think of the games I picked? Did I pick too many VR games? They were all good. I'm not being biased. Would you have picked other games? Did I miss some games that should have been in the list? Did I pick a rubbish star buy? What would you have picked as the star buy? Throw all your complaints in the comments and we'll argue about it later. But I hope you guys found some games you're interested in. But more importantly, I hope you saved yourself a lot of money. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next sale.